emotional. It's very emotional, especially for me.
Is she a bad person? Absolutely not.
Breaking right now. The farmers have taken over Westminster and Whitehall, and God, it is a beautiful sight. Lots of folk gathering. I'm going to show you in just a moment this extraordinary clash between Nigel Farage and Jacob Rees-Mogg. But first, Katie Hopkins, fresh off the left mob trying to cancel her for an event in London at the weekend, was getting quite emotional, actually. Watch.
Hope this isn't going to be a bit of a Tiananmen Square moment. Look at that. Stop killing the people who feed you. What an amazing moment. Thank you. Good luck. Thanks so much. Let's get you these people so you can see them. Well done, Canan. Well done. Well done, lads. Oh, what genius. These are the real people. You don't need politicians. You need farmers. Well done. Woohoo! Well done. Well done, lads. Yeah! Come on, Britain! Well done. Oh my even goodness, I think I might wet myself. Would you please? They brought the tanks.
And it actually became just a little bit too much for Katie at one point, who was feeling so patriotic about these incredible scenes.
Not allowed to use fertiliser when they're not allowed to do what they want with their land anymore because Miliband says it might kill the planet. I'm just trying to give you a sense of how long this goes for. Can you see? And these guys have been up at 3 in the morning driving someone from Hull. I mean, all of their fuel costs as well at a time when they haven't got cash. And it's very emotional. It's very emotional, especially for me. You know, not to make it about me, but big men in big tractors being big patriots. It's enough to set me off. This one brilliantly has a sign that says Willie in its front windscreen. Oh, hold on, I'm trying to find it for the comedy factor for you guys. There it is. Sorry.
Mara.
Oh, bless you. Thanks for taking the time to put the effort in to be here. We appreciate you. Thank you. And that's really what I'm trying to do. I just go around cuddling people saying, thank you for doing this. Oh, golly. It's more than my heart can stand, but this is such a proud day. This is what makes me proud to be British.
Oh, I just love that. I absolutely love that. And look, Katie Hopkins is, I believe, an incredible force. She goes to these events completely on her own, doing her own social media, knowing that she is under serious threat. Because when she was being interviewed at the weekend at a private venue in East London, the hard left tried to cancel her to such an extent that they went to the local council, they threatened the venue with cancellation, they called up the workers who were attending the event and said, if you go and you work at this event, you're a racist. And then when all of that failed, they turned up outside to try and threaten the people who were there to listen to Katie's life story. Watch. And Adam Brooks was the one who actually put that up on his social media. He attended the event, Alex Phillips. And this was for Brogan Garrett Smith's incredible podcast, Getting There. I've featured on it as a guest. So has Tommy Robinson. But Brogan herself plays a completely straight back. She's just interested in people, fascinated in their life stories. I wasn't able to attend the event myself, but I'm told that it was incredibly emotional. There were lots of tears. And how do you feel about Katie Hopkins, Alex? Because I feel like even though there was this protest in London, there is a huge reevaluation, because when I am encountering people in my day-to-day life, virtually without fail, they will say to me, oh, Dan, do you know Katie Hopkins? I think she's amazing.
Yeah, a couple of things. So first of all, I think Katie seems to have the same affliction I have, which is crying at tractors. I literally have this problem. Every Christmas, when I'm in Wiltshire with my other half, we go and watch the tractor pull, which is when they cover themselves in Christmas lights and they go through the town centre. And I always cry. I also cry at military aircraft. I don't know what's wrong with me. There's something about sort of men doing brave things that just, it really sort of pulls at my heartstrings. And I saw that that's what she's got. She's got crying at tractors as well. One thing that's interesting, right? And Katie Hopkins, a bit like Tommy Robinson, and various other people. So if you look stateside, I'd say a bit like Candace Owens and others like that. Something has happened, which is they dared to put their head above the parapet and say things first. As a result, they were cancelled, bullied, struck off, lost their livelihoods. And so they had to end up going back to the thing that sort of got them notoriety in the first place and have to stay relevant and have to maintain an income. And so they've doubled down. And I think in a strange way, it's had the effect of, radicalizing people to some degree. And I think that Katie Hopkins has in times past been, as a result of this, being probably a bit too strident or a bit too one-dimensional, perhaps, not nuanced enough. But that's because she was painted as the bad guy, because she was characterized as that. And so it's almost like, when you do that to somebody, they end up sort of almost becoming that. Is she a bad person? Absolutely not. Do you know what's interesting? I remember years ago now, Katie Hopkins making a documentary on white farmers in South Africa. Genuinely, I remember this because I think there was some event at the European Parliament, or I can't remember. It was going back a long time ago, but she went over to South Africa and spoke about what was happening to white farmers. And look at what is happening to white farmers. That is now echoing about in the chambers of social media. So these people are very important. Those who do dare to put something on an agenda, those who do dare to raise the alarm first, need to be given credit where credit's due. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get everything right, but this ridiculous puritanical world we live in, which has been designed by the West to bully, to suppress, it's fascism essentially. You see those people there from the Socialist Workers' Party with their sort of cut and copy placards. Those are the very people who would have been active members of the Nazi Party. Those are the dangerous ones, the people who are scared of anybody doing anything other than this small, prescript little way of how we should live, forced ideology. They are the very people who, frankly, are the fascists, are the dangerous people. Usually, actually, if you dig into them, they're also the homophobes and the racists because they are the bullies.
Totally. And look, the thing about Katie Hopkins, right? And I've known Katie for many, many years, and I have huge respect for her. I've always had huge respect for her, and I've always known her personally. We've also had run-ins, right? Like, we've had run-ins. We had run-ins when I was at GB News. We had run-ins before that. But I have so much respect for her because, and I'll tell you why, they took everything from her, Alex. Everything from her. I mean, she owns nothing. She is unable to be public about even at her own children's school, because they literally tried to destroy this woman. And if you go back and you look at what they cancelled her for, it is speech that is now mainstream. And so it was completely wrong. Everyone was completely wrong to turn. I obviously know what it's like when all of those mainstream organizations, because it was exactly the same for her as it was for me, that she had the Daily Mail, the Sun and LBC all pulled the plug. I had the Mail and GB News all pulled the plug. So we know what happens. The great thing is now, though, is that we've had all of these years to say, actually, what was she really wrong on? Do you see what I mean? And look, I think it's possible to say that there are particular things you disagree with. Of course there are. Like, so for example, I'll put it out here right now. I don't like the way that Katie Hopkins jokes about the death of Derek Draper. Loads of people do. Loads of people find it hilarious, right? But I know Kate Garraway, and Kate Garraway is a good woman. And actually, Kate Garraway is very politically sound. I think people would be very surprised to know where Kate Garraway stands on the political spectrum, Alex, because she's much more aligned to where we are at than where, say, one of the typical lefties like Susanna Reid is at. But I don't want to cancel Katie Hopkins for making a joke that I just personally don't find funny.
Oh, do you remember how beloved people like Frankie Boyle were to the left wing until all of a sudden
Yes.
they realised, when he was sort of sticking his boot into conservatives? It's all very funny. When you look at a lot of the comedians now, they're all blimmin' lefties, aren't they? And they can make whatever joke they want, because it's almost understood that if you're attacking someone for being white, if you're attacking somebody for being right wing, that's allowed. There's no such thing as a white victim. But this is dangerous. And, you know, I go back, what you said was very important. It's sort of like what I said, which is when people stick their head above the parapet and they get ransacked, they end up with no choice. It's almost like, we've made your bed, you've got to lie in it. Now you've got to double down and be that thing. You've got to be the monster we're all saying that you are in order to stay relevant. That's the only you know, the thing you get to furrow now. And so there are some people who sort of end up handling that badly. They sometimes lose a bit of nuance. But Katie Hopkins has been raising a lot of issues before anybody else. I say again, the white farmers. And it disgusts me that the mainstream media aren't talking about that. You've got South African leaders shouting at rallies full of thousands and thousands of people, shoot the farmer, kill the farmer, cut the throats of the women and the children. They always go after women and children, don't they? You've got a mad dictator who is ransacking the farmland, taking it off white people. There will be, I mean, it's been going on for a long time, that the brutal murder. And normally when, you know, these black activists go and murder white farmers, they are not just going in there and shooting them, they're tying them up, they're raping the women, they're mutilating them, they're torturing them. It's bestial. And, you know, we aren't allowed to talk about these things because the victim's white. And actually, I'm beginning to realise around the world, the most persecuted people internationally at the moment are probably white farmers in South Africa and Christians. But these people aren't allowed to be victims. Oh, no. But it's dangerous when people aren't calling this stuff out and seeing it for what it is. We're in big trouble. And it makes all of us unsafe, fundamentally.
Indeed. And if you look at the South Africa issue, Alex, specifically, Katie was well ahead of the curve. Of course, she was accused of being a horrible racist, right? That's how people deal with an issue like that. But look now at the Trump administration refusing to recognize South Africa because of that issue. So again, I would say it was one example where Katie was ahead of her time. Alex, I do want to ask you about the farmers' protest quickly, though, because there was a fascinating exchange today on GB News between two of its presenters, Nigel Farage versus Jacob Rees-Mogg, both trying to claim that their respective parties would be the voice of farmers. I thought it was really interesting. I'm fascinated to know what you think. So let's have a little look. But first, this episode is sponsored by Manscaped, the brand trusted by over 11 million men worldwide for their face and body trimmers, hygiene essentials, and premium boxers. If so many men swear by them, including me, you can bet your Valentine will too. And guys, this is your last chance for Valentine's Day, okay? It's Friday, so be very scared if you haven't sorted your present yet. And this year, there is an opportunity to raise the bar, because I'm sure you've watched your man try for that rom-com leading man charm only to land in scruffy sidekick territory. Not this year. We're treating them to the VIP experience. Meet the Handyman Rocket Man Special Edition from Manscaped, a sleek, compact face grooming essential that guarantees your partner's face is on track for heartthrob status all year long. Now available in the Special Edition Rocket Man colorway featuring gold and black. But just a quick word of advice. There are limited quantities available in this color, so you'll need to act fast, and you can use the code Outspoken, by the way, for 20% off your entire order and free international shipping at manscaped.com. But let me tell you what's incredible about the Handyman. It's cordless and designed for convenience. It easily fits in a bathroom drawer or slips into an overnight or gym bag for easy grooming on the go. It's also perfect for those last-second touch-ups when your reservation is in 15 minutes and he's looking a bit more lost in the woods than leading man in a love story. Engineered with a unique dual blade system, it features both a standard foil shaver and a long hair trimming blade to handle up to 3 days of beard growth. And it's equipped with skin-safe technology designed to reduce nicks and cuts for the perfect clean shave. And after all, who wants a sharp reminder of their grooming session, right, on a romantic evening out. So whether your guy is a grooming newbie or a seasoned pro, the Handyman in this special edition color is the perfect upgrade, just in time for you to make this Valentine's Day extra special. Manscaped has a 30-day money back guarantee though, so it's totally risk-free. And as I say, you can use the code Outspoken and get 20% off your entire order and free international shipping at checkout. That's manscaped.com, using the code Outspoken for free shipping and a whopping 20% discount on your entire order. But now, back to the show.
I've been saying it for years.
Yeah, but
I wasn't in a position to do it, but you haven't been in a position to do it either.
No,
we are both voices crying in the wilderness.
Well, Jacob, my wilderness may not be quite what it was. We're going to win the next general election, and we will abolish inheritance tax. End of.
That's a manifesto commitment.
End of.
Jacob, is this the start of that Reform Conservative pact?
Wow, interesting, isn't it, Alex? Because that's the problem the Conservative Party have. Sure, we can sit here and say Jacob Rees-Mogg, great guy, really supportive of the farmers, but it's Nigel who can actually say, no, inheritance tax is gone. There's no discussion about this. It's a very, very clear policy. Oh, and by the way, you didn't do it when you were in government for 14 years.
I mean, I feel sorry for Jacob. Well, no, actually, I don't feel sorry for Jacob Rees-Mogg. He's a multi-millionaire in a beautiful house in Somerset and is an absolute legend and largely beloved apart from by weird leftists. The thing is, to his credit and also his discredit, Jacob Rees-Mogg is so loyal to the Conservative Party. He's not even elected as an MP anymore. He lost his seat in North Somerset. And he'd be so welcomed. Can you imagine him in Reform? Because that is his political ideology. That's where he should be. He should have been in the Brexit Party. He should have been in UKIP. And so on one hand, there's something beautifully old-fashioned and loyal about his dedication to the Conservative Party, even though it's a sinking ship, even though he's lost his seat. But what's so sad is he'd be far more politically useful if he had defected and put ideology above party. And frankly, in politics, it needs to be that way. It should be politics before party. I don't know what Jacob Rees-Mogg is going to do, whether he might ever have his arm twisted to stand for reform. I doubt it. But those two have always gotten along very well. They've always gotten along very well. You know, when I worked for Leave Means Leave, I worked with both of them, and then of course they're both at GB News. But you know, behind it all, they get along incredibly well. And so when people do talk about, well, actually, should the Conservative Party and Reform unite? No, good Conservatives should stay Conservative and actually defect to Reform, offer their services, and then Reform should actually take people on a case-by-case basis if they're deemed good enough, if they're deemed like they're worth it and have made a sacrifice really.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.